2 weeks ago. We were all working out here. There was at least 20 guys, and we just started noticing things were moved.
Really?
That looks like a Bigfoot.
Insane.
Gone.
From wandering through some of the most remote forests that could be found in the continent of North America, to having an encounter of the strangest kind with one of the most frightening creatures out there in the middle of nowhere, here is how Dr. Mireya Mayor believed that she finally found Bigfoot. Wild statement, right? For many decades now, many have been doing all they can to track down Bigfoot, the legendary bipedal cryptid that is rumored to wander around some of the forests found in the continent of North America. The reason many have dedicated a ton of resources to this cause is that we aren't even sure if this creature is real. For many years, many of those who believe that this creature is real have relied on the dubious accounts of those who claim they have run into the legendary cryptid at some point in time, or the photos or videos that similar people have emerged with from these remote woods. That said, this hasn't been enough to convince the skeptics that this creature is really out there making these remote woods their home. With that in mind, people like Dr. Mireya Mayor, the highly respected primatologist, along with the rest of the Expedition Bigfoot team, have dedicated their lives to the cause. With her level of experience as the first National Geographic female correspondent who has traveled to the most remote forests in the world, along with other areas of expertise, there is every chance that she, along with the rest of the members of Expedition Bigfoot team, may very well be the ones who succeed where many have failed when it comes to proving that Bigfoot really exists and is truly out there. Expedition Bigfoot out on an expedition to find Bigfoot. As many of us may have accepted at this point in time, the search for the fabled bipedal ape-like mammoth of a creature is easier said than done. Just look at the time that Dr. Mireya Mayor and the rest of her team went into one of these remote woods to follow a lead in order to put their search for Bigfoot to an end once and for all. This was already a difficult enough task. The humidity in the area was enough to suffocate even the fittest person out there. As bad as the weather was, it didn't seem to be as bad as the eerie silence that seemed to envelope the woods. The good doctor and the rest of the team that was out there just couldn't shake the feeling of unease as they realized that they could not hear any of the usual noises that could be associated with these neck-of-the-woods. Not one chirp of a cricket, the hoot of an owl, or the howl of a wolf could be heard. As they came to realize how disturbing this silence was, they soon understood that this was because of something even more troubling. Something out there was definitely watching them. Just as Dr. Mireya Mayor and the team came to a halt to come to terms with the unnerving silence, their hearts began to race once they heard the disturbing sound of this strange knock that seemed to come out of nowhere. The knocking sound seemed to come from all over the place, and as such, you could see how this left the team in a state of fear and nervousness. What could be responsible for this strange knocking sound? As much as Dr. Mireya Mayor was also in a state of unease, her years of experience gathered from the years studying primates from all over the world gave her a good idea of what she was dealing with. She was well aware that when gorillas and chimpanzees were in the wild, they usually communicated with knocks similar to those which she and her team were hearing while they were in these woods. Usually, this would have helped Dr. Mayor and her team relax, but they remembered one thing. They were not in Africa where you could run into such primates in the wild. No, they were in North America, and such primates are not known to roam around in the woods there. As such, she came to believe that there was every chance that they were within proximity of the legendary cryptid. With that in mind, Dr. Mireya knew that she had to jump to action. Hoping to get more details about what they could be dealing with, she implored the thermal drone operator to launch their small machine so that they could use it to scan the dark woods around them. With any luck, they could even pick up the heat signals of the fabled hominid creature before it wandered too far off. Within moments, the team picked up the heat signals of creatures such as deers, raccoons, and other woodland creatures. Just as things started to look normal, everyone gasped when they looked at the monitor because they had just picked up the heat signal of what looked to be a massive, upright figure that was making its way through the trees in such an alarming way that the viewers couldn't believe what they had just seen. Despite the size of the creature, it moved with a speed and agility that needed to be seen to be believed. Somehow, despite such a rapid pace of movement, the thermal camera was able to focus on the creature in such a way that the observers could finally notice more of its details. They all gawked in awe as they took in the tall figure and its broad shoulders. They were also astounded by its legs, which seemed to be bigger and more imposing than any humans or primates that they had ever laid their eyes on.
Looking in my direction, I repeat, there are multiple huge heat signatures in front of me.
As much as they were left in a state of shock due to what they were witnessing, the surprising experience came to an end because all of a sudden, it disappeared out of plain sight. What an extraordinary experience. Hoping to learn some more information about what they had just experienced, the team found their way to the location of the strange heat signal. It was only a matter of time before they experienced that same shock and excitement because they came across a set of massive footprints in the mud. Coming in stunning size of 17 inches, these footprints were clearly larger than any footprints they had ever seen in their lives. Even Shaq couldn't leave footprints that were so large. Fascinated, Dr. Mireya Mayor had to feel them for herself. Sure, these footprints belonged to some sort of primate, but she just couldn't claim that they belonged to any known species of primate, despite spending many years of her life studying them. Well, with any luck, they would get the answers they desperately desired. For now, they figured the only way they could get such answers was for them to gather all the evidence they could from this location. As such, they did all they could to collect all the DNA samples they could find in the area. This saw them collect some of the hair samples they found in the branches close by. Maybe this would give them the massive win they needed when it came to the search for the legendary cryptid that is Bigfoot. Well, it's fair to say that they did get some answers after analyzing the hair samples that they picked up when they were in those dark, humid woods. However, not only would these answers not be conclusive enough to give them the answers they so desperately wanted, it would actually send shivers down their spines as they came to terms with what they had on their hands. This is because the set analysis of the hairs revealed that they contained primate DNA. Despite this, the DNA could not be attributed to any known primates. Pretty weird stuff if you ask us. As strange as these answers were, it somehow added more credence to the notion that Bigfoot was really out there. If anything, the answers may haunt Dr. Mireya Mayor and the rest of her team, because this could mean that they may have been within proximity of the legendary cryptid.
You hear that? You hear that?
Is that Ronnie?
It's gotta be.
What a strange situation. Indeed, it could be a case of so close yet so far. This must have been super frustrating, because anyone who knew the good doctor would know that she wasn't one to chase after myths or speculations. As a scientist, it seemed as though she only dealt with cold, hard facts. Well, she would just have to follow the lead of people like the Native Americans who had called such a place home many centuries ago. Even back then, these people have gone on record as they spoke about a massive hidden being that wandered around the woods in the area. Considered to be a guardian of the land that kept to the shadows, the story of this creature has been passed down from generation to generation, so much so that it is still prevalent till this very day. Sure, some people may want to reduce them to the realm of legend or folklore, but people like Dr. Mireya Mayor know better than to ignore the details in these stories. After all, there is every chance that such stories could eventually lead the Expedition Bigfoot team to the conclusive proof they need to establish that Bigfoot is real and is out there. That said, we can all say that the problem with the establishment of the existence of Bigfoot has always been the proof. Despite all the stories that we mentioned earlier, or the massive footprints or hair samples that may have been picked up over the course of time, it always seems as though something is missing when it comes to proving that Bigfoot is real. Indeed, maybe that thing is the actual manifestation of this fabled creature in a way that cannot be dismissed. Maybe it is also the pranks and hoaxes that have served to be a hindrance when it comes to establishing the existence of this creature. All in all, for one reason or the other, many have dismissed that a creature such as Bigfoot is truly out there. As such, for now, it is just too difficult to separate fact from fiction, and that is no good when it comes to proving that Bigfoot is real. Luckily enough, Dr. Mayor is only keen to deal with the facts of the case, even if she has to cut through all the elaborate myths and legends surrounding the existence of Bigfoot. As such, she knew that if she was going to make any headway, she would need to work according to the laws of science. For too long, she had witnessed many who claimed to have the proof that Bigfoot was real, but were dismissed as pranksters, hoaxers, or conspiracy theorists. Again, you cannot blame them because there have just been too many people who thought that they could pull fast ones on us. No, she was going to find that real, undeniable proof that Bigfoot was real. No, they will not be making use of any of those blurry photos or videos that we spoke of a while back, nor would she be relying on the uncorroborated accounts of those who claim to have experienced a run-in with the legendary creature. She was going to make use of the best that technology had to offer so that she could capture clear photos and videos in a bid to record any encounter that she would be lucky enough to get if she ever encountered Bigfoot. This desire to track Bigfoot down would be no easy task at all. Again, they would have to go into the woods that are filled with an unbelievable amount of trees. Let's not forget about the rugged mountains that the legendary creature is believed to blend into, as it just seems to be the perfect place for it to evade the rest of the known world. This didn't seem to be a huge task for Dr. Mayor. After all, she had spent a good chunk of her professional career exploring some of the most remote forests in the world, and as such, this didn't seem to be anything new to her. That said, there was just something about this place they were exploring at the moment. Something different. Something rather disturbing. Perhaps looking to take her mind off the unsettling nature of the woods, she turned her mind to thinking about what Bigfoot may look like when she finally ran into it. This took her mind to all the stories she had heard in regard to the mysterious hominid. She remembered how it was described as being a tall creature, something that towered any human in known history. She also remembered that it was also described as a creature that was covered in fur and weighed over 1,000 pounds. What was interesting about such a massive creature was that it also seemed to move much faster than it looked. What was perhaps even more interesting about this strange primate was that its eyes, the eyes hiding behind the high ridge of its brow, seemed to exhibit a level of intelligence and sentience that may not be found in any other wild animal. This seemed to rejuvenate any excitement in finding this creature, because before long, Dr. Mayor and her team started mapping out all the hot spots they could find in the area. They decided to focus on the places that many reported as having run-ins with the legendary creature. With that in mind, they moved with care, hoping to pick up anything that stood out, anything that was out of the ordinary. Before long, they saw that they were looking out for any footprints that seemed to be larger than anything they had seen, or any footprints that seemed to belong to anything that they were unfamiliar with. They also seemed to look out for any structures that may have been put together out there in the wild. Maybe such a structure could have been put together by the legendary creature. With that in mind, they also made sure that they took note of a key part of their search. They knew that their best chance of finding anything that was out of the ordinary was at night. Turns out that Bigfoot was something of a nocturnal creature, and as such, their best chance of success was unfortunately not going to be observed during the day. With that in mind, the team got moving with their thermal imaging cameras and night vision goggles once the sun went down. With their senses on high alert, they moved with caution as they were certain that something was watching out for them from the cover provided to them by the thick bushes and the darkness of the night. Despite such a challenge, Dr. Mayor just couldn't shake off the feeling that she may actually be on the verge of success. That said, she knew that caution was the order of the day, because even the most subtle of footsteps could give their position away, and this could very well make it even more difficult to catch the legendary cryptid unaware. With that in mind, they took all the care they could as they scanned the forest for what proved to be hours. Exhausted, they were just about to give up on their search for the mysterious creature when something popped up on their monitor. Excited, the team jumped to attention when they noticed the heat signature of something that seemed to be hiding behind the thick bushes surrounding them. Could this be the creature that they had just spent hours looking for? Despite such excitement, the team moved with caution so that they could get a clearer view of what their equipment had just detected. This seemed to work because the shape seemed to remain still, as though it had not picked their presence up. That said, it could have also been monitoring them as it got closer. Whatever the case may be, the team had enough time to notice that the creature had broad shoulders, an immense frame, and also what appeared to be glowing eyes. As you can imagine, this caused a ton of excitement. That said, it also seems to cause a bit of fear. After all, this time, they were not just talking about blurry photographs or unclear videos. This time, They may be on the verge of approaching the real deal in its natural environment, and this may not be the safest thing to do despite being a groundbreaking moment for all them. As they pondered if this was really the legendary creature that they had been searching for, one could see that the tension was palpable. Just as they were zoning in on their target, the team was alarmed when this guttural noise suddenly ripped through the silence of the night. The sound proved to be so powerful, it felt more like a presence that threatened to obliterate them from the realm of existence. Despite this, Dr. Mayor and her team somehow found the gumption to press forward. Sure, they had to ignore that all the natural noises such as the chirping of crickets and the hoots of owls had suddenly come to an end. To make matters worse, this deep, resonant sound shook the entire team to their core. This was not the sound of some wolf howling or some bear growling. This was the sound of something even more disturbing. Frightful of what they had just heard, the team froze on the spot. Looking for answers, the team scanned the area with their camera. That is when they picked up the heat signal of something that was high above them on one of the trees nearby. As you can imagine, the team was once again frightened when they realized that whatever was looking at them from the top was glaring at them with its red eyes. This was troubling for them because if this was Bigfoot, it wasn't acting like the shy creature that had become the stuff of legend of the years. No, this creature was even somewhat confrontational in its approach, and this was much more frightening. To make matters worse, this creature seemed to be agitated by them because it released this low yet troubling growl from up above. As you can tell, everything within pretty much told them to flee for their lives, but somehow they maintained their resolve. Maybe it was because they had already come so far in their mission, but somehow they were able to maintain their position underneath the unnerving creature. They knew that this was the best chance to get any evidence of the legendary creature, and they weren't going to miss out on this opportunity. No way. As tense as the moment was, the team was suddenly shaken back to attention when they heard a branch snap. Before they could figure anything disturbed by the sound of that unnerving low growl. This sound was so layered and unnatural that there was no way for them to shake off the fear it was creating within them. The team tried all they could to record the creature that was hovering above them, but all of a sudden, it disappeared. With one swift movement, it had disappeared out of plain sight, almost as if it was never even there to begin with. It was all too surreal, all too fantastic for it to have been something they had experienced, but even without whatever was recorded with their thermal imaging camera, they all knew that the fear they all felt was real. This was something they would never forget. That said, they were still left to wonder if they had really just had an encounter with the real deal. Had they actually just put their lives in danger just to come so close to the legendary cryptid? The destruction of a branch by something that was way more powerful than them to the discovery of a massive set of footprints in the ground told them that this must have been the case, but as they did not see anything conclusive with their eyes, they weren't so sure. So for now, despite the uncertainty, they felt that they were drawing ever closer to the legendary creature that is Bigfoot. Just moments ago, a terrifying call from deep within the forest proved what many have suspected for years: the tales are true. Bigfoot is out there, and its presence feels more dangerous than ever.
Hear that? Oh my God. It was insane. I have no idea what that was, but it sounded like snippets of the Bigfoot recording I just played.
Consider this. You're deep in the woods, the light fading quickly, and every shadow moves in ways that make your heart race. Then, out of nowhere, an eerie silence descends, only to be blasted by a thundering roar so near that your bones shiver. Pulse quickens. This is not just a story anymore. The beast, long rumored, feared, and elusive, is nearby. Imagine yourself hiking down a trail that takes you farther into the unknown. Suddenly, you hear a tremendous crunch of leaves and twigs, shattering beneath the weight of something invisible. Your heart races as shadows stretch across the ground, and two luminous eyes appear from the darkness. You remain still, realizing you are no longer alone in this peaceful forest. If you enjoy hiking alone, this might make you reconsider. Despite the skeptics, unusual signs like large, deep tracks and hazy photographs of mysterious individuals lurking amid the woods continue to pique people's interest. Hikers frequently feel as if they are being watched, and campers may wake up to find strange tracks around their tents. As we go deeper into this mystery, keep your senses alert. The environment hides many secrets, and the boundary between myth and fact is sometimes blurred. And once you hear that creepy scream, you'll realize how thin it is. But that's not even the most shocking part. In August of 2019, a man named Doug Teague from Hickory, North Carolina, went to check his trail cameras in the woods near his home. He was only with his dog, Crazy Daisy, when he experienced one of the most terrifying moments of his life. The forest was unusually quiet, until a strange rhythmic knocking echoed through the trees. It wasn't a natural sound, it was deliberate and unsettling. Then, Doug saw it. The monster, tall and covered in matted fur, stood out against the woods due to its broad shoulders and muscular legs. This wasn't a bear or any other animal Doug had seen in North Carolina. It was something entirely new, something he could only have imagined in his wildest dreams. As Doug strained to comprehend what he was seeing, the thing moved. It twisted with a force that sent shivers down his spine, and then it began tossing stones in his direction. As Doug stood there, rocks suddenly landed nearby, as if warning him to back off. He stepped away, but kept his camera rolling, determined to capture every moment of this unexpected encounter. Later, when he returned to the spot, he discovered massive footprints.
My research emphasis is on the form and function of the human foot and its evolutionary.
Of something far bigger than any human or known animal. Doug carefully made molds of the prints, preserving them as evidence of what he had witnessed. This odd encounter sparked interest in what is known as the Sister Lakes monster. Similar animals are described as having hair on their faces, like what some call the Eastern Bigfoot. One human history specialist even speculated that the creature could be over 15 feet tall, a shocking notion reinforced by the size of the footprints Doug discovered. However, not everyone was convinced. Some thought it was just a delusion or misunderstanding, but others thought Doug had captured something absolutely spectacular on film. So, was Doug Teague the man who finally found real proof of Bigfoot's existence, or had the dense woods of North Carolina played tricks on him? The question remains, but Doug's story was just the start of a series of strange sightings that took place in 2020. A lone explorer in California's San Gabriel wilderness spots something strange while filming.
Coming up the hill, you saw head, big shoulders, and it was brown, dark brown. This is nighttime too, so this is about...
Towering figure, 10 to 15 feet tall, lurking between the trees. No sightings had been reported in the area, but the footage was undeniably eerie. Similarly, in 2018, a hiker in the San Bernardino Mountains saw what she first thought was a shadow, but it moved. She believed was a Sasquatch. These strange encounters echo back to 1951, when explorer Eric Shipton, trekking on Mount Everest at 19,000 feet, discovered a 13-inch footprint, sparking ongoing debate about what might survive in such extreme conditions. However, the footprint left us with more questions than answers. Could this be the start of discovering secret animals in the most remote areas of our planet? Shipton's discovery is far from the only bizarre story. In 2015, while searching for mushrooms in northern Illinois, a man discovered something strange. Pushing into the dense jungle, he discovered a gigantic footprint, approximately 12 inches broad, crushed into the soft earth. Oddly, part of the print appeared to have been chewed off, adding to the mystery. And we can't forget the stories from the 1920s, when John W. Burns learned of the Chehalis Indians' legends of the hairy man, stories that gave us the term we know today, Sasquatch. These tales, whether from California or Mount Everest, reveal just how thin the line is between myth and reality. What else could be hiding out there, waiting to be discovered? Nearby, there was another footprint, filled with water, which only added to the strange feeling of the discovery. The man who discovered it was perplexed and decided to record the scene before sharing it online. What ensued was a heated dispute over whether it was real or not. The debate became so heated that he created another video detailing his findings in greater detail. The History Channel was also interested in this. However, despite varying expert interpretations, the exact nature of the footprint remained unknown. But that wasn't the weirdest thing. In 2021, Lee Brickley, a devoted Bigfoot enthusiast, ventured into Cannock Chase Forest in Staffordshire, England, a site noted for its frightening sightings and unusual incidents. Lee was determined to find solid evidence, and during his search, he found enormous footprints, each about 41 centimeters long, twice the size of a human foot, and far too large for any local animal. The discovery left him uneasy, as he began to wonder if he was following the trail of a creature no one had ever seen before. Just a month later, Lee returned to the forest, and things took an even darker turn. He came across a deer with its throat violently ripped open and deep bite marks on its body, a disturbing warning of whatever might be lurking in those woods. These discoveries further added to the mystery, blurring the distinction between myth and truth even more.
Each year, there are hundreds of Bigfoot sightings across the country. Some people devote their lives to the pursuit of the creature.
Every footprint and weird encounter sparked new questions and maintained our interest with the unknown, as if the world was reminding us that there are still hidden corners, full of secrets waiting to be discovered. But the story doesn't end there. During their investigation of the Cannock Chase creature, they found large scratches running down the side of a tree, suggesting something much bigger than any known local animal. Strange sightings in the area had been happening more frequently since 2019, but this time, the clues pointed to something much more dangerous, lurking in the dark woods, something unlike anything recorded before. And this wasn't the only place where strange things were happening. In 2013, 3 Russian students were exploring the cold, empty reaches of southern Siberia when they discovered something unknown. They captured grainy, scary photographs of a large figure moving among the trees using only their mobile phones. They followed its tracks and got as close as 50 feet. The thing was enormous, intriguing, and appeared to be watching them. But before they could muster the nerve to come any closer, it vanished into the dense forest, leaving just enormous footprints and a strong sensation of panic. Their video, although unclear, was later verified by experts to be genuine, but no one could say for sure what the creature was. Some thought it might be the Yeti, while others believed it could be something even more mysterious. This only added to the growing legend and sparked even more curiosity and fear. These legends, set in the icy slopes of Everest, the dark forests of North America, and even the frightening woods of England, all have one thing in common: a powerful, mysterious creature who is always just beyond the grasp of human understanding. Whether you believe in Bigfoot or think they are merely old legends, it's difficult to deny that weird things are happening in these distant locations. The next time you find yourself alone in the forest, you might start wondering what could be watching from the shadows. These unusual phenomena, which occur in remote locations, have always piqued people's interest. One sighting in Siberia drew some notice, but it was a mystery shot from North Carolina that truly sparked interest online. A wildlife camera deep in the forest captured a grainy image of a muscular figure that looked nothing like any other animal in the region. But that wasn't the craziest thing. The snapshot soon disseminated over the internet, prompting discussions.
Bigfoot is, by definition, big. Some say they grow to be 800 pounds. Could they really climb a tree and hang up there?
Some claimed that it was the legendary Bigfoot, while others suggested it was the mythical Dogman, who is said to haunt the area. Experts tried multiple times to enhance the image, hoping to reveal more details, but the creature's features remained unclear. Its large limbs and odd posture confused everyone. Some dismissed it as a bear, pointing to its strange proportions, while others guessed it could be a large dog or even a deer, though the shape didn't quite match either. With no solid answers, the photo became a hot topic of debate. Was this an undiscovered creature or just another internet myth? Meanwhile, in Michigan, another strange occurrence occurred in 2021, adding to the long record of unexplained sightings. A lone kayaker captured footage of a big, human-like figure traversing a river, adding another piece to the puzzle of mysterious creatures discovered across America. As the video spread, many debated if it was the proof that Bigfoot enthusiasts had been looking for. The creature's size, posture, and behavior were undeniable. But skeptics pointed out that, like many other similar recordings, this one was grainy and unclear, making it difficult to determine what was actually seen. Each hint gets us closer to the truth, leading to experiences that are beyond comprehension. But what happened next was not the most startling part. As more reports came in, it became evident that the unknown may be closer than we realize, buried in the deepest and most isolated parts of our globe. Across the water, in the United Kingdom, a wildlife enthusiast named Woods found himself caught up in a circumstance that only added to the growing ambiguity surrounding these bizarre encounters. For months, Woods had been living in a modest shelter, deep in a peaceful woodland, enjoying the peace and quiet it provided. However, when he returned, he saw that his shelter had been entirely destroyed. At first, he assumed it was the work of some local kids or perhaps a wild animal. Determined to get to the bottom of it, Woods checked his security camera footage, expecting to find a straightforward explanation. But what he discovered sent a chill down his spine. On 2 separate occasions, his camera had caught a tall, shadowy figure moving through the trees, gliding smoothly and carefully, unlike any animal he was familiar with. As the crew reflected on the frightening events of that night, the mystery only appeared to grow. Initially, Woods, the team's leader, assumed that the figure was a poacher or a wildlife photographer trespassing on the property. However, after checking with the landowner and confirming that no one had authorization to be in the area, the situation became even more worrisome. With his curiosity piqued and a developing sense of anxiety, Woods resolved to take a risk to discover the truth. He set up a mock campground in the same location where the figure had been observed in the hopes of luring it out again. Although he didn't catch sight of anything himself that night, his cameras told a different story. Throughout the dark hours, they captured eerie and unsettling noises, strange calls echoing through the forest, sounds unlike anything Woods had ever heard before. These weren't just the typical noises of the forest. They were different, unnatural. And that's when Woods began to question if what he'd seen could be tied to the Bigfoot mythology. He began to see additional weird indicators, such as broken branches and strange patterns on trees, indicating that something enormous and powerful had gone through the region. As Woods' story started to spread, it caught the attention of local enthusiasts and Bigfoot believers alike. People were eager to know, was it really Bigfoot? Or could it be something else hiding in the dense woods, unseen by human eyes? Interestingly, these strange occurrences weren't limited to just one area. Similar weird and unexplained events occurred around the country, particularly around the opening of deer hunting season. And then something even more startling happened. A seasoned hunter, who had spent years following wildlife and knew woods like the back of his hand, was able to take video of a massive monkey-like monster gliding between the trees.
It's been said that Bigfoot exhibits nocturnal behavior, perhaps to hunt or to avoid detection. But the cloak of darkness could...
This was no ordinary creature. The creature was gigantic, with a shape and posture unlike anything seen in the area. The hunter, taken aback by what he had seen, shared the footage with professionals for study. After closely inspecting the film, the experts found that it was authentic, with no signs of alteration or fabrication. In late 2021, a YouTube channel called NVTV posted a video that sent waves through the Bigfoot community. This footage, shot in the thick forests of Idaho, captures what many believe to be Bigfoot in stunning clarity. You could plainly see the creature's body, the thick texture of its fur, and its sheer size, providing a rare, up-close view at what some believe to be the elusive species. This wasn't another fuzzy, unsteady video. It was clear, detailed, and difficult to ignore. Naturally, it provoked both curiosity and discussion among viewers. Could this be the undeniable proof they've been looking for? But the excitement didn't end there. On February 12, 2022, another video surfaced on a YouTube channel run by a user named Mr. Man. Titled Bigfoot Night Camera, this footage, taken with a night vision camera, showed a large, muscular figure standing alone in the cold night. The creature swayed slightly as it adapted to its surroundings before disappearing into the darkness. What made this film so intriguing was the creature's size and build. It moved naturally and smoothly, making it difficult to dismiss as a hoax. Unlike many previous alleged Bigfoot sightings, this one did not appear faked at all. The figure's firm, determined stride was too real to ignore. Both of these videos generated more questions than answers. Was this really Bigfoot? Was it just another cunning trick? Regardless, these clips added to the ever-increasing mystery surrounding the creature, thought to be hiding in our world's untamed wilderness. To properly understand why so many people are attracted to Bigfoot, we need to go back in time. In 1967, Roger Patterson and Robert Gimlin shot what is largely regarded as the first film evidence of Bigfoot near Bluff Creek in Northern California. This now famous footage sparked popular interest in the Bigfoot legend, propelling it into a global phenomenon. While riding their horses through the region, the couple noticed an unusual figure meandering down the riverside. Without hesitation, Pat jumped off his horse and captured footage that would become one of the most famous pieces of evidence in the hunt for mysterious beings. The video depicts a huge hairy figure with a long stride and a strange walk. At one point, the creature even looks back at the camera before disappearing into the woods. This figure, now known as Patty, has become an iconic symbol of Bigfoot sightings across the globe. However, Patterson and Gimlin were not the originators of the Bigfoot mythology. Long before their encounter, rumors of enormous ape-like monsters prowling the forests of North America circulated. One of the first and most spectacular encounters occurred in 1924 on Mount St. Helens, when a party of miners looking for gold reported being attacked by what they described as ape men. The miners heard weird noises outside their cabin and noticed several enormous hairy figures watching them through the trees. What followed was a night of terror. The creatures hurled rocks at the cabin and tried to break in. The miners, terrified, fired their guns into the darkness and barricaded themselves inside until morning. This event, now known as the Battle of Ape Canyon, has become a key part of Bigfoot folklore, forever linking the creature to the mysterious forests of the Pacific Northwest. And the stories didn't stop there. In 2016, for example, Scott Yeoman of Bailey, Colorado, was startled by weird noises outside his house late at night. When he peeked out his window, he saw something that haunted him. A big, hairy visage with human-like features stared back at him. At first, he assumed it was a bear, but upon closer investigation, he realized it was something far stranger. By the time he got his revolver and returned to the window, the creature had fled, leaving him with anxiety and unanswered concerns. These encounters, which occur all throughout America, keep the mystique of Bigfoot alive, a mystery that continues to captivate our imagination. Whether it's truth or folklore, something about these bizarre encounters makes us wonder whether there is a creature hiding in North America's vast, untamed forests. If you enjoyed this thrilling glimpse into the world of Bigfoot, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more incredible encounters and deep dives into the unknown. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.